Hello and welcome back. So the mayor is still an idiot. Don't worry, I'm sure that won't change anytime soon. But this video is to demonstrate how the mayor has actually disqualified himself as the mayor. How? Well, his girlfriend got named city clerk. Sorry, I say girlfriend and wife or domestic partner, roommate, baby mama. Once again, it's still freaking confusing because it's not who you ask, but when you ask as to what it is their relationship is. Because that's kind of the point of all of this, is that when it serves their needs, like in general every day, it's that they're married. But when it comes to something like nepotism, well, they're not married, so it's just fine. So this had been brought up to them, and apparently their reasoning excuse for this is that they had actually asked the city attorney about this. And the city attorney said, well, since technically you're not married, it's fine. That does not sound like anything you could expect a lawyer to say. If you ever talk to a lawyer, that's not generally how they would respond. I would suspect that the conversation would go more like this. They approach him and say, since we're not married, then technically it's not nepotism, right? If you ever met a lawyer, their response would generally be, that maybe they'll look into it, or they'd say, it'd be in your best interest and all parties' best interest to find a new clerk as soon as possible. It sounds a little more plausible, right? So let's take a look at what it is that the laws do say on nepotism for the state of Missouri. Okay, here we have it. Article 7, Section 6, penalty for nepotism. Any public officer or employee in this state who by virtue of his office or employment names or appoints to public office or employment any relative within the fourth degree by consanguinity or affinity shall thereby forfeit his office or employment. That's how it's written in the Missouri State Constitution as of February 27, 1945. That's the law as it reads. And then, of course, as any law goes, you then have court cases that set precedent. So it gives listing of a few examples of this that, declared invalid until a judge can make that determination. That a judge is a public officer, but down here is one that actually seems to apply in this case. In violation of the constitutional provision, which is self-enforcing, he forfeits his office. So by virtue of naming his girlfriend the clerk, it's self-enforcing. He automatically forfeited his position as mayor. Okay? They'll come up with all kinds of excuses. So if you go down here, this even includes a non-paying position. So if they want to argue that, she just helps out. I mean, she shouldn't be. It shouldn't be just the two of them inside City Hall making all decisions for the city. It seems really shady because, in fact, it is really shady. Now, again, it all comes back to, they claim that since they're not married, they're not related. And it becomes a question of, what is legal and what is ethical? While it may be legal, it's unethical, right? Well, the law saw this coming. It's not like a bunch of lawyers got together and wrote all of this out and somehow didn't come up with the wording appropriately. They're saying relative because they mean relative. And they mean relative through marriage, through adoption, through blood. They're not saying ancestor. There's a reason that they're not saying ancestor, because it doesn't necessarily apply that it only goes up the tree. Unfortunately for them, it also goes down the tree. So in order for people to understand this, they literally made a graph. And here it is. It says it's a relationship chart from the Ethics Commission. If you or your spouse's relative appears on this chart, they are related to you within the 4th degree by consanguinity, meaning blood, or affinity, meaning marriage or adoption. Here you go. This is you being the mayor, and this is your girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call her this week. I don't freaking care. You have 2 children together. You did not have to climb up to the 4th to find great-great-grandparent. The very first example on this is child. You are related because both of you are related to your 2 children. You are related within the 1st degree. So it really doesn't matter that your excuse is that you are not married and are only boyfriend and girlfriend when it serves your purpose. Because it doesn't serve your purpose. You are indeed related to the 1st degree because you have children together. Oops. This isn't hidden somewhere. The council should have read through this. I invite everybody to please read through this. I will put it in the description. I'll put links to it. You can get to this very easily. It did not take a lot of digging to find this. And this shows that indeed the mayor forfeited his seat. The council should have stepped in and intervened in this and not have let this happen. So I'm not just going to put it that it's all 100% on the mayor. Because after all, this guy was an idiot before he got elected. He's an idiot now, and he'll be an idiot when he leaves. But the job of the council is to make sure that this idiot doesn't get to just do what he wants. Like, we don't need a dictatorship, which seems to be what has just become fine. And yes, that's harsh. It sounds abrasive. But they volunteered for this, okay? You didn't want to do it. You don't want checks and balances on the mayor. Then what do you think your job is as a city council member? If you're not going to do any checks and balances on what the mayor does, then why are you there? That's literally the purpose. Otherwise, we would just say, okay, we have a mayor and the mayor just does whatever he wants, which is what's going on. So please, council, checks and balances. You'll get the link. Go to the link. Read through this. It's not a really hard reading here. This is not a huge novel, and it's really clear. It doesn't need to be explained to anybody. They literally will give you a chart. Here they are. Here's their child. You've seen them. You've seen their children. You know that they are related by this chart. It's a graph, right? So there you have it. I don't need to go fishing any further. Literally, with 2 documents, you can prove that this guy has forfeited his seat. Now, if he wants to go to the court, he wants to argue about it, so be it, right? If he wants to make excuse for it, the council wants to make excuse for it. The trolls out in the sphere, please, I invite you all, just come on out. I don't care. You're going to do it anyways. Do me a favor. This time, when you come and attack me about all this and how, oh, you're demeaning their relationship and everything else, how about this? Don't attack my family, all right? Or anybody else's family. You want to come after me, you want to attack me for showing you what the law is. I didn't make this law. I'm just pointing it out. You want to attack me? I don't care. Go right ahead. You're going to do it anyways, right? I'm fine with that. But I'm going to go a step further here and give you an understanding why it is that, well, it seems abrasive that I keep making a mockery of whether it's his girlfriend, his wife, his mistress, I don't care what their relationship is, except to the extent of that when the rules apply to one, they apply to all. I do believe in that, right? So you get to be married when it suits you. And then when it doesn't suit your needs, then you're just not married. That's not how it works. And it's incredibly insulting for those of us that did decide to get married, because literally that was up to you. Nobody said you couldn't get married. Nobody said not to get married. I don't care. Get married. Don't get married. I'm fine with you having children and living together even though you're not married. I don't have an issue with that. Right? You want to get married? I don't have an issue with that. Congratulations. I hope, it's a lovely ceremony. You deserve happiness like everybody else. This isn't about making personal attacks on you and what you choose for your relationships to be. It's about the fact that you guys volunteered for doing this and taking on this position, and there's rules and laws that you have to abide by just like everybody else. You don't, because you don't seem to care, because you don't believe that they apply to you, or at least you're not willing to go through the simple task of looking it up to find out whether you are indeed breaking laws before you follow through with doing them. But I do find it a personal attack on the institution that I've chosen to go into with my wife of getting married, because we are married. That was the decision we made. Our families, our community recognized that, the government recognized that, right? So we are married. We're not married today and then tomorrow, well, you know, we're just not today. That's not how it works, right? And it is a slap in the face of everybody that does get married and goes through that process. There's certain things that you do get as benefits from being married, and then things that you get as benefits for not being married. And it seems to me that you're taking advantage of the things that you have available to you, resources you have available to you by not being married. Such as, because he owes back child support, that's not her problem. Because he's, you know, evading taxes, not her problem, right? She can also, as a single mother, because they're not married, she can collect different forms of benefits from the state and federal government. I don't know whether they do or don't collect any of those. That's not really the point, to point out whether they do or don't, or shame them for that. That's not what I'm doing here. But it is that when it's convenient for you, when it suits you, you're not. And then when it suits you and it's more convenient for you, then you are married, right? We don't get to do that. I'm married to my wife, and if she decides, she wakes up in the morning and she's like, you're so annoying. Today I'm just not married to you. Trust me, if you've been married long enough, this happens. It's bound to happen. She just has to suffer with the fact that she made a decision long ago and she's still married. And then tomorrow she'll wake up and she'll be like, I'm so glad I'm married to you, because you gave me 2 perfect children. You still annoy me. Get out of bed. I want the whole bed to myself. Right? That's marriage. So please stop doing this. It's rude. It's insulting to everybody else. And all the trolls can have their opinion of like, oh, you're just trying to belittle their relationship. I don't care about what their relationship is. Just please, you know, make a decision and stand by it. But for this, where it does matter to me and where it does matter to the community, stop breaking the stupid law. And step down. You're not the mayor anymore. I'm not asking for the council to take a vote on this, all right? You don't need to vote on this. As it says, it is self-enforcing. He made the decision. We can prove that. That's all there is to it. It's done. It's over with. He's not the mayor. And by virtue, he can't run for mayor next year either. So clean up your mess. As for the council, please see this as a chance for you to learn from your mistake and say, you know what? Maybe we didn't look into this. Maybe we should read through the available resource for us so that we can make the best and most informed decisions. I'm not going after you guys or trying to get you guys off of the council. I don't think that any of you had malicious intent to look the other way. I just think that you didn't do your proper vetting. And you guys had to vote in order to make her into the clerk. And you did. You voted to make her the clerk because you didn't bother to read this. So please, going forward, I have faith that the 4 council members here can do a good job and should be given a chance to do a good job. And I don't actually believe they've been given a fair chance to do a good job because they've been hindered by this monstrosity, this walking dumpster fire of a disaster of a mayor. So let him walk off into the sunset and go throw his damn tantrum wherever the hell he wants to, right? I don't really care. And then council, step up, do your part, do your research. I have faith in you. And I'm sure most of the community does too. It's become really hard to have faith that anything that happens inside City Hall in this little town is ever going to do any good. But what choice do we have but to move forward? And the only way to move forward is for you guys to step up, take responsibility, and do a better job.